Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Dominic from the Comic Book Report YouTube channel, over here doing another guest review for organicpricedbooks.com. And today I'm really happy to say we're talking about a DC Comics Deluxe Edition. This is a nice oversized format, and of course we're talking about Batman Under the Red Hood Deluxe Edition. This volume itself was written primarily by Judd Winnick and illustrated primarily by Doug Mahnke. The comics in this volume were published by DC Comics beginning in 2005. The volume itself collects Batman issues 635 through 641, 645 through 650, Batman Annual 25, Red Hood The Lost Days issues 1 through 6, and pages from Batman 617 and 618. This is, like I said, an oversized format with glossy print paper stock, a nice binding I'll show momentarily, and comes in at 544 pages. So lighting is a little bit tricky for me on this glossed cover or dust jacket for the collection, but suffice it to say it is quite beautiful. It is black and a nice deep blood red color. We have Batman cradling Red Hood. A really cool, just kind of visceral image here on the front. Love, love, love the look of this deluxe edition. I will say, as I kind of do my look at the dust jacket itself, I want to talk a little bit about this collection. One of the reasons I think you should upgrade if you have something like the paperback collection is, and I mentioned this earlier on, it includes not only the Batman Under the Red Hood storyline, but also Red Hood The Lost Days. I believe that was also collected in a trade paperback once upon a time, and this deluxe edition has both series in a nice oversized format. I love the gloss of the pages, everything just looks really great, and having both Under the Red Hood and The Lost Days in one volume, it just makes a lot of sense. Lost Days is a great companion piece to the central story, and this book sticks it right at the back of the book. It just works really well. Absolutely love the back of this dust jacket. Nice red with white font. We have some great Batman characters here on the back. I do want to do a little bit of a size comparison and a general comparison for this deluxe edition compared to that paperback edition of Batman Under the Red Hood that I mentioned earlier. So as you can see, this book is going to be oversized. It is like the trim size, the height and everything of an omnibus, which I really like seeing. It looks great on a bookcase if you have other deluxe editions or omnibuses next to it, and I think that this is such a worthwhile upgrade. Honestly, even if it was just the Under the Red Hood storyline in this oversized format with the extras, it probably would have been worth an upgrade for me at some point, but the fact that you also get Red Hood The Lost Days, this is definitely a no-brainer for Batman collectors out there, for Red Hood collectors, or general fans of DC Comics. This is a really good volume. Here's one more look at that comparison. You can see the spines here. A really, really worthwhile upgrade. I did like the paperback collection. I got it for a pretty good price point, but this deluxe edition is just blowing me away. And the art in this collection is really good. You'll see it as I flip through it a bit. But even more than the art, I love the storyline. To me, that this is like a very important milestone in the Batman universe. It's the establishment of the Red Hood character, and I really dig it. And revisiting this story, I really, really enjoyed it. Moving back now to just the deluxe edition, I do want to do a fuller examination of this dust jacket, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. You're going to get to see not only the dust jacket I've shown you, but also those interior flaps on this book, which is really, really fun as well. Again, I love the cover art design for this dust jacket, for this collection. I just think it looks really sharp. I love the black, white, and red colors we have all throughout it. Like I said, really looks good on the bookcase. I think that this is overall a very well-designed, oversized collection, and I just wanted to give one more look at the dust jacket, and then we can go ahead and transition to the Under the Dust Jacket artwork that they printed on the hardback book itself. And I'm happy to report that the art we get is a nice battle sequence between Batman and Red Hood. It occurs earlier in the storyline, but I really love that they presented it on the hardback itself. It is a wraparound cover, which is great to see. I'll do a spread of it momentarily. On the spine, you do have the actual text of the collection, which I also liked. And overall, I think this was just made really, really well. And after we finish up the Under the Dust Jacket artwork look here, I will just go ahead and transition to a quick look at the binding like I mentioned earlier. So this is well bound, but I will say it is a glued binding, as you'll see. I do think overall I have no complaints here. I think it laid open fine. I'm not really worried about this breaking down on me too much. I think it's a really well-made collection. I would have liked to seen just a proper sewn binding for it, but I totally understand. And I generally have no complaints. As you can tell by how I'm already selling it so hard, I really like this storyline a lot. This is actually one of my favorite Batman stories of all time. I really love the Batman animated adaptation of this in that Batman animated movie, and I honestly never had an opportunity to read Red Hood The Lost Days until getting this deluxe collection. So not only getting one of my favorite Batman stories, but also getting this great other miniseries, that 6-issue Red Hood The Lost Days, was such a bonus treat. And to read that at the end for the first time, it just really blew me away. While that is maybe not a classic to me, enjoying the Red Hood character like I do, I think it's an invaluable little miniseries, and it really helps bridge some gaps in the narrative we have prior to when the main story takes place. Like I said, it's a really great companion piece. I think it was an excellent choice to round out this deluxe edition, and I cannot speak highly enough about this collection. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite new books in my collection personally, and I think that honestly, if you enjoy Red Hood or Batman, this is definitely one you want to get on your shelf. As you saw a second ago, as I'm starting to flip my way through here, we do also have a proper table of contents that breaks down all the issues included, their page number. Love seeing that in a book. Love a properly mapped book as well. And everything reads really great here. As far as what you get with the storyline, I'm going to try to be very, very conscientious of spoilers. I don't really want to ruin it for anyone who is a prospective reader. Maybe you've never read it. Maybe you don't even know who Red Hood is. I'll try to be sensitive to that where I can. But effectively, this story starts in media res. We have this incredible fight sequence between Batman and this character known as the Red Hood. And in the midst of the battle, we have Batman get unmasked or decowled or whatever you call it, and we see Bruce Wayne. The implication is that Red Hood already knows that this is Bruce Wayne, and it immediately ups the stakes, the tension, and we're trying to figure out who the heck this is. And we have Bruce Wayne staring at Red Hood, who has presumably unmasked himself, and he is shocked, like, oh wow, how is this possible? What's going on? And then we flash back, and the rest of the story up to a certain point is kind of catching us up to that moment. Overall, I think the storyline is really well constructed. I do think Judd Winnick is kind of an unsung hero at DC Comics. I know there's a lot of big fans of him, but he's one of those guys that everything I've read from him, I've never really had a miss. And this is really one of my favorites I've had the opportunity to read of his. And overall, it's really such a memorable story. I've reread it a few times, and it just never gets old for me. We have this character of Red Hood who's trying to topple kind of the gangs in Gotham at the time. He's trying to become what looks like the next kind of crime kingpin, or at least causing just chaos in those organizations. He takes out a lot of like mob leaders and different gang people. He really tries to make life hard for the Black Mask, who's currently kind of overseeing crime in Gotham. And generally, he's just this chaotic element that is really close to a character over in Marvel World like the Punisher. He's willing to use lethal force, gun violence, to try to ends justifies the means. And in this story, certainly, we're not even really sure if he's an anti-hero or a straight-up villain. He's definitely cast as more of a villain throughout most of the story arc, but it's really fascinating, and I like how they weave in a lot of the kind of Gotham underbelly and him kind of making his way through those ranks. We have him coming into conflict with Batman quite a few times. We have Batman kind of reaching out for support and just kind of counsel with different members of the DC universe, like Superman and Zatanna and Green Arrow. And as to why he loops these characters in, I won't really spoil too much, but it's really great to see all of these DC characters involved. We have some great team-ups with Batman and Nightwing in this collection as well, for Nightwing fans out there. Overall, it really just is going on all cylinders. Ultimately, the storyline does begin to bring those two characters, both Batman and Red Hood, into each other's crosshairs as we kind of get these ultimate climactic moments. We have the Joker involved in this storyline as well, if you're a fan of the Joker. Overall, a really well-rounded story here. And after we have Red Hood, we do transition to the Red Hood Lost Days miniseries, and this again bridges a lot of gaps leading up to the events of Red Hood. I'll try not to spoil too much, because by the time you get to the Lost Days, you should have already read Under the Red Hood, because the identity of Red Hood is all already revealed. But it's a really great storyline that I'm so happy they included at the back of this collection. We also have a good handful of extras here. I love seeing the character models and the different production sketches and outlines of the different issues and works here. Really cool way to pad out the collection. This is a deluxe edition, so I was really happy to see a handful of extras. Always puts a smile on my face. We maybe don't have as many extras as we potentially could, but I think we still have a pretty worthwhile amount here at the back. I really think this is nice and padded out. Over 500 pages for essentially a storyline or two. I think that this is a really good showing for effectively Red Hood's origins. This is definitely a Batman book, but it also really is heavily about the Red Hood character, who is also quite popular. Beautiful book that looks great on collectors' bookcases. But let me know what you think about Under the Red Hood. If you're interested in picking up a copy, definitely check out Organic Price Books, or you can get a fuller review of this with spoilers on my channel, The Comic Book Report. Thank you so much.